Two drummers, two eras, one shared fire. Neil Peart, the architect of modern rock drumming. Paulina Villarreal, the prodigy carrying an entire new generation on her shoulders. This isn't really just a comparison, it's like a conversation across time. One of these drummers is a legend who shaped the landscape. The other is an artist who's shaping what comes next. Today, we're asking a bigger question than who's better. We're asking what happens when legacy meets its evolution. So, Paulina is not merely the drummer from The Warning. She's the engine, the pulse, the gravitational center of a band that sounds far bigger than three people should ever be able to sound. At only 21 years old, she plays with an instinct most drummers spend decades chasing. Her kick patterns lock like gears, she gives every groove breath, and her fills don't just connect different beats, they speak. She uses short melodic bursts that guide the song forward, the sign of a drummer who thinks beyond just rhythm. Her playing is built on feel, intuition, and creativity, a combination that resonates and takes a lot from Neil Peart. Personally, I feel that Paulina is the closest to a true successor to Neil Peart's drumming style. A lot of people think that it's a drummer like Mike Portnoy, and of course we've got Annika Niles coming in to actually sit in for Neil in Rush's reunion tour. But for me, Paulina is the drummer that I've heard in all these years who most fully understood what Peart was doing with his drumming. And like I say, she's not copying him. She's not even taking licks verbatim from Peart, but she's incorporating his general approach to drumming, not just his approach. She has her own style and she's influenced by other drummers as well. What I'm saying is she's been able to integrate the best of what Neil Peart did, which includes his precision, his narrative ability, and his willingness to let the drums settle into a song rather than dominate over it. Now, there may be a few of you out there that think Neil Peart overplays, but I think that Paulina is definitely one of those drummers who knows exactly when to hit the accelerator and when to lay off. Other thing about her is that because she's a songwriter and a singer, she has a feel for hooks, and her drumming isn't just technically powerful, but it's hooky. So she has an ability to combine the hooks of her vocal melodies with the hooks she's going to use in her drumming, which gives her an extra kind of attractiveness to her musical profile. Neil Peart is a drummer whose name became a synonym for excellence. He didn't just redefine rock drumming, he reframed what drums could be. So he was fluent in odd meters, he was surgically precise, and his storytelling was unmatched. Peart played with the mind of an engineer, but the heart of a poet, and every fill was a sentence, every groove was architecture. His drum parts didn't just support Rush, they narrated Rush. He blended technique with meaning, philosophy with performance, and his influence is not likely to fade anytime soon. In fact, it's building. On paper, Paulina and Peart seem worlds apart. Different eras, different genres, different goals, but if you listen deeper, there's a shared musical DNA. Both are clockwork players, not robotic, but reliable in a way that elevates their band. Paulina's fills often act like transitions that add emotional punch. Peart's fills were full monologues, entire paragraphs expressed in rhythm. Paulina doesn't just play along, she directs. Her drum choices shape the emotional arc of every Warning song, exactly how Peart built emotional arcs inside Rush. There's one dimension to Paulina that sets her apart from almost any other drummer you can name, especially rock drummers. She's not just a drummer, she's a vocalist, and not a backup vocalist, a lead vocalist. Her ability to deliver powerful, controlled vocals while maintaining complex drum parts is athletic. It forces her to think rhythmically and melodically at the same time. That fusion gives her playing an emotional texture that most drummers can never access. Similarly, Neil Peart never sang, but he gave voice to Rush through his lyrics. And this is a very strong link between the two. Both Paulina and Peart drummed with a connection to words and language. Paulina sings and plays the drums. Peart sang through the drums and through his lyrics. Both are storytellers and not just rhythm makers. In a very, very real way, Paulina is doing what Peart did, but fused into a different type of approach, where she is a drummer who sings, but also conveys the arc of the story. So the Warning aren't really resurrecting classic rock. They're evolving it. They're not copying anyone. They're asking what comes next. And this fits into the way that Paulina drums. Her rhythmic diversity and her innovation, her tightness, punchiness, explosiveness is exactly what rock music needs right now if it wants to survive. Technique builds respect, and emotion builds legacy. Peart connected through depth, reflection, and narrative. Paulina connects through raw energy, charisma, presence, and stylistic newness. They have different approaches, but they have the same effect. They make their music unforgettable. So, Paulina versus Peart. Precision versus power. Experience versus hunger. Past versus future. Who wins? Well, here's the truth. You don't measure a legacy against a legacy in progress. You measure how far the torch is carried forward. And Paulina is carrying the torch forward with both hands. And she's not copying Peart, but she's proving that rock drumming still has a long way to go in its evolution. So now I ask you, do you hear a strong Peart influence on Paulina's playing? And if so, what do you think is the effect? Do you see her pushing Peart's drumming style into the future? Let me know in the comments.
MusicGuru here, asking you to help us on our march to 10,000 subscribers.